It's 1:30, everyone.
Mind sharing?
We are about to convene our meeting. Since it is 1:30, we're very efficient. So,
You're also live.
Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
How are you? Afternoon.
What is that for? I'm
We
still.
have a good, I think, full agenda. And I just need to remind everybody about the open meeting law so that we all adhere to it. And would like to ask if any of you have any announcements to share that you would like to share with our viewing public or with board members or guests, and welcome guests.
I do.
You do. All right, Bob, you're on.
This isn't going officially in a minute.
When?
I'm 80 years old on Saturday, so watch out because I'm going to get crotchety.
Oh, happy birthday! Wow. Well, happy birthday early. So I didn't know that. My goodness.
You weren't in church yesterday.
I know I wasn't in church yesterday.
Yikes.
All right. I have a couple of quick announcements, though. And one is a reminder of the Friends Follies event, which is coming up this coming Sunday, I believe.
15th, yeah.
The 15th. And if you have not ever seen the Follies, even though this is not going to be a live show on stage, it is a live show taped. And it will, I'm sure,
No,
be as good as it has
Okay.
been when it's been live on stage. So
this is on
please
Friday,
get your
Saturday,
tickets.
Sunday.
You can call any, get hold of the Friends, call the office, it's the office, and
I'm
they can
open.
guide you to get tickets. Or are they going to be ready at the door too, Barbara?
At the door, at the thrift shop, and anybody who's in the play, ask them and we'll.
Okay. At the door, at the thrift shop, it's $5, well spent, and the proceeds all go to support senior activities and events in town, thanks to the Friends. So
What time?
it's at 2 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken, at the high school.
2 o'clock.
Great. It's usually good for laughing for an hour. Anyway, it's a very, very great thing. And I just would also like to remind our viewing public that the ladies' breakfast is coming up this Thursday. So please think about that. It's 7:30 to 9 at the Senior Diner. Great opportunity to come and socialize, have a great healthy breakfast, and support senior events. And the last thing I have is also involves the diner, and the Senior Diner every Friday has a special homemade luncheon of salad that Barbara Cam and Ann Sweat usually put together. And that goes on. It's been going on Fridays for a long time, and I think people have kind of forgotten about it. So,
Thursdays.
pardon me?
Thursdays.
Yeah, Thursday.
Thursday.
No, Fridays.
No, they do it on Fridays, you're right.
They do the lunch, the
They do
salad,
the
on
salad
Fridays.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because I thought
So-
it was Thursday.
And I don't think people are aware of that. It's been going on for a long time, and it's a great luncheon.
There's
It's
soup
Friday.
and sandwich on Thursday. Soup and sandwiches on Thursday.
Soup and sandwiches are on Thursday,
Okay,
correct. But Friday is the salad luncheon, which they've been putting on for many years. And Barbara, even though she stepped down from the board, has continued to do that. So. All right. Any other announcements? Last chance. All right, then let's move on to accepting our minutes from the March 12th meeting. You have a copy in your packet. You also received them, although a little late, but over the weekend on email. So, do we have any questions or corrections?
I move the minutes be accepted as written.
I
I
have a
second.
motion, and you're seconded? Thank you, Mary. Any other further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. I think it's unanimous. Thank you. All right. Friends, I have a favor to ask. Do you mind if we let Eddie go before you?
Well, if it's more.
I like his beard, let him go.
Okay. I just, Ed Mullen is a guest today, and, he came to help us understand more about the housing issues and what the planning board is trying to accomplish and what has already been accomplished. So I would like to give him the floor, and so we don't keep him all afternoon, because he does have a job. So, a full-time job away from the town, right?
I work for the town of Concord as a building inspector, so.
Right.
The
So-
sooner I can get back there, the better.
Right.
That being
So-
said, I'm happy to be here. Ed Mullen, Chairman of the Planning Board, for one more meeting, and then we'll vote somebody else in, so you only get me as chair for one more meeting. But the video that was played before our board at our last meeting, that Barbara put together, was wonderful. There was a lot of questions or comments or concerns that were in there that I wanted to try to address today that I believe have been addressed in the bylaw, I just don't think it's understood. So I wanted to talk a little bit about it. One of the amendments that we actually passed 2 years ago was the accessory apartment use bylaw. I wouldn't say that it's perfect, but it does allow homeowners to convert their home by right to add a second unit to the house, as long as it meets the minimum square footage. It has to stay small. It can't look, it has to remain to look secondary to the principal dwelling. So it's a bylaw I don't have a copy of, but it's pretty simple. If you don't already have a by right one that you had a special permit for previously, you have to follow the building code, which requires you to meet two-family construction standards, meaning fire separation and things like that. But you can construct a small one-bedroom for a senior, or for rental if you're a senior, you want to try to generate some income. So you could basically convert your house as a two-family with a small secondary unit. That'd be one way. You could stay in your home, you could move into the smaller unit, or you could stay in your house and just add that accessory unit to generate income. So that's one on the accessory use bylaw that we passed 2 years ago. And like I said, it's not perfect. There's some clarifications that we're trying to work out with the Littleton Building Department. That being said, the senior residential development bylaw that we passed this year at a special town meeting addresses a lot of the other issues. So I gave a handout on blue sheets, so if everybody wants to try to follow along. When we get to basic requirements on the second page, halfway down, it talks about the senior residential development shall comply with the following density regulations. So if a developer is proposing cottage or two-family dwellings, they can put 4 units per acre. What they do have to have is 2 acres first to qualify. So if they don't have 2 acres, they can't propose this. And the same with the rest of them. Townhouses, 8 units per acre. Independent living units, 20 units per acre. And assisted living residents, 16 units per acre. And then it goes through what would be required in these units. No dwelling unit or in a senior residential development should have more than 2 bedrooms. So I know that was a concern that was brought up in the video we watched. You can't have more than 2 bedrooms in any of the units. You can go down to 1 bedroom if you want. They have to have 30% open space on their proposed senior residential development, or as we refer to it now as the SRD, just for speed.
What's it referred to?
SRD.
Oh, I have to learn the lingo when I go to these meetings.
The
I get
acronym,
lost
yeah.
sometimes.
Single-family, two-family townhouse units shall provide for. So on the next page.
Page 3?
Yep, page 3, age-appropriate design.
Page 4?
I'm on page 3.
It's on page
On
4.
this one, it's on page 4.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's on page 4.
I'm sorry. So, we have different pages. Yeah. Age-appropriate design. A senior residential development shall be designed to provide housing options in a setting that encourages and supports aging in community. While units do not have to be age-restricted by deed to adult 55-year and older standards, they must be visitable and designed for people of as they age. At minimum, these terms mean that the senior residential development shall have the following features. So single, two-family, and townhouse style shall have a 0-step clearance. So all the entrances to the house will be 0-step, no threshold, should be level, roll-in, wheelchair accessible. All doorways will have to be 36-inch and clear space. The master bedroom will have to be accessible and located on the same floor as the kitchen, living room, and dining room. So if we're talking townhouse, cottage, and two-family, all of these would be on the first floor. If we get into garden style is going to be required to have an elevator. So this, again, could be on any floor, but it would have to be on the same floor as the master and the kitchen, bath, all on the same floor. the master bedroom, bathroom design and equipped for seniors and people with mobility impairments. So all the showers will be roll-in. They'll all have grab bars and benches in them per the requirements of AAB. And then all of them are required to have indoor or structured parking.
What is
So-
structured parking?
So we're gonna have garages for the townhouses, typically one, maybe two unit parking. But then when you get into garden-style apartments, typically they provide some underground or covered parking and some open parking. So if there's two occupants of a unit, you might have one car that's protected and one car that's parked in the open.
Art, I have a question about the first thing you said, where everything is on the one level.
Mhm.
You know, as they come in.
Mhm.
What about flooding? What about what?
What about-
Flooding. Oh.
So,
You know-
building code addresses drainage around a structure.
Mm-hmm.
We also, as a planning board, have to address drainage in the street design. So in all drainage on roads and surfaces has to be addressed. So in scenarios where flooding could occur, they wouldn't be allowed to build it. If garages are running downhill, if you've got a downhill slope, they'd be required to have some type of drainage before the water could get into the garage. Garage, per building code, garage floors are required to pitch from the back of the garage out to the front of the garage door. So any water that runs off your car after you pull in should drain back out beyond the garage door.
But I was thinking more of the
Topography of the
house.
land, right, and the slopes of everything coming to it. So they'd be, I would imagine that still you'd be driving slightly uphill to your house, but once you got to your house, that entrance would be level. So you'd have to, yep.
Well, how about, all right, just in case I'm confused, you open your front door and it's absolutely flat.
Mhm.
What keeps the water from coming in?
Pitch.
So it's pitch, so.
So you can have a
so
one,
is it-
so even per the Architectural Access Board or even ADA, you can have a 1% cross slope and it's still considered flat.
Okay,
So 1% water doesn't flow uphill. So
okay,
you can still pitch it enough
okay,
that nothing's running into the house. And again, typically these entrances are covered.
right,
You know, if you're coming up to a front door, you're usually gonna have some type of a vestibule or something over your roof
okay.
to prevent that from
Is
occurring.
the cover a requirement?
It's not. It's not a requirement, but it, you know, in the design, we certainly look for it as a planning board. We're trying to make these things as accessible and as maintenance-free as possible. Most of these proposals are also gonna have some type of service. They're gonna have snow plowing, shoveling, lawn care and maintenance. So you'll have to pay a fee as a senior to that association for that care, but it will be provided in most proposals that we've seen so far. And I think the biggest concern that we heard was affordability. And,
It's a big issue.
you know, affordability, because we've had some proposals where one development was proposed that the units were gonna sell for upwards of $500,000. Now, in that proposal, with the number of units that they were providing, they were gonna give us, because of the requirement of the bylaw, 4 affordable units. They were proposing 31 units. In those 31 units, the town would have got 4 affordable units out of it. Those 4 affordable would be sold at 187, excuse me, $187,000. Anything that comes in is required to meet a minimum of 10%. The development, the 55 and older, under the old bylaw that's being built at Cooper Farm, they're required to meet 25%, because that's the old bylaw, and that is age restricted. Age restriction is something that came up also. Some people felt like it should be age restricted, some people not so much. I'm under the impression that we shouldn't age restrict it, because I don't want to limit it to the people that can access it. You know, if you have a veteran who needs assisted living, or, you know, a zero clearance, zero step entrance, I don't want to exclude them because they're 18, 20, 30 years old coming back from a war.
That's what, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
but Judy, who was your consultant,
Mm-hmm.
she also was not an advocate, I don't think, of having age restricted either, was she?
Right. No, she wasn't.
No,
One, age
because-
restriction does prevent development, too.
Right.
It limits the amount of people that will propose these, because they're afraid they're going to be stuck with the last 4 or 5 units that won't sell.
Right, I thought that was a key thing.
So we want to make sure it's available to all people.
Who manages this? Who says the law? Is there a department?
So the planning board writes the bylaw. The zoning enforcement enforces the bylaw, and the building code requires the houses and structures to meet building code. So we have the building commissioner, There's also the zoning enforcement officer. He has an assistant. They would enforce this bylaw once we approve it. Now, we can modify this as we go. Let's say we get a proposal and they're getting a significant amount of density and they really want to do the project. As a planning board, if we feel comfortable to push them for more affordability, upwards of 20% or 25%, we're going to try to do that.
The planning board gets the money.
No money.
Oh.
We don't get any money.
No,
No. Nobody gets, the developer gets the money from the sale of the property,
right, right.
so.
What makes the affordable housing continue to be affordable housing? One of the questions that we've raised in the past has been that somebody buys an affordable house, somewhere along the way they decide to sell it, and they sell it without saying anything about it being affordable, and they sell it for $50,000, for $500,000.
So part of
because all the other houses in the unit are.
Right. So what happens is all those units are deed restricted. So it's registered, it's recorded at the registry of
Well, not be allowed to
deeds.
be sold, but who monitors that?
So
Who makes sure that happens?
the lawyers, it's a legal document that has to be researched before a closing can occur. So the buying attorney or the selling attorney needs to disclose this information at the time of sale. So when they do their property records and deeds research, they'll identify that this is a deed-restricted, affordable unit and can only be sold as an affordable unit. So in 10 years, it does appreciate, but it only appreciates at the state level of what affordability is designed of. So if they bought it for $187,000 today, and it appreciates in 10 years, they can only sell it for $200,000 10 years from now, whatever that model is.
Yeah, but I'm afraid that the lawyers have squinty eyes when it comes to seeing things like that, and the things go through, and then they're gone, and then it's no longer an affordable house.
Yeah, no, it would always be an affordable unit because we know how many are approved. It can never be taken out. It's in perpetuity as long as we say so. They can't change that. And there'll be people that'll be mindful of that going through. We're all going to be neighbors someday in these units, and somebody's going to say, hey, I got an affordable unit, and I have an idea there's 5 more in here, and you're probably going to have an idea which ones they are. And then you see the new neighbor, hey, how much? Or you can even look it in the paper. How much did it sell for? So
I'm just
yeah.
concerned that somebody, be the
It's
policeman.
so unless they want to be disbarred and go to jail, I wouldn't think that any lawyer would want to do that because they're risking jail time on a real estate transaction to that level.
That's good.
I've got a question.
Sure.
You said 25% are affordable. Does that mean
No,
handicap?
so 10% are affordable.
Okay.
In the 55 and older, that's over at Cooper Farm, that's under the old bylaw, and the old bylaw required it to be age restricted at 55.
Okay.
And it required 25%
But they don't have to
affordability.
have the flat coming
They don't have
in.
the same requirements as this. Right.
They got in before we got that passed at
Right.
town meeting.
Right, so it's it is different, but there are some things that will be met. Yeah. And he's a good developer. I think he's willing to do a lot of the design criteria that's proposed here.
And is it
So
not true, excuse me, go ahead, Maureen.
So the 25% of how many units how many affordable units does that leave at the Cooper Farm?
Isn't it 48 to 50 is the total?
Yeah, so,
So let's say
So-
48 would be.
So 25% is 12.
right, I think he's got 12 or 13 that he was gonna provide, maybe not. I can't remember the number right now, we have so many developments.
And they will all be the same quality as the other houses, right?
So the affordable units, what they're allowed to do is design, they have to be exactly the same on the exterior. On the interior, sometimes they hold out completing them, like the carpet, until they know, or the tile. But they do get finished and they have to be completed. They have to look identical on the outside. They don't have to be identical on the interior. They can go from a tile floor to a linoleum floor. They can go from high-end Berber carpet to, shag rug, I don't know. But they can't, but there's only so much that they can take out of it.
Yeah, but that's fine.
But they're allowed to save some money by down.
Now, is Cooper's also having like 2 side-by-sides, or are they all freestanding houses? I thought there was supposed to be some.
I think there's a mix. I think there's a mix in there.
haven't gotten down
It's got some townhouses and some single family. They haven't constructed any yet. of the 55 and older. None of it's built. So just the road, I think, is being put in currently, so.
You mentioned old rule and new rule. What is the year? Where are you talking?
We are in the new rule now. It changed at town meeting.
May?
No, last
Last
No, it
town.
was changed, it's already been changed.
We're
Last
under the new,
year.
yeah. We're
Okay.
under the new law now.
Now.
Yeah. It replaces, if you go back to the front page, it replaces by deleting from 173-26A, principal use and phrase over 55 housing development, and insert in place thereof senior residential development.
October 30th.
Yeah.
All right, may I ask a question about the affordable, the $187,000? That is, I'm not asking a question about this, but I want to be sure everybody understands. That rate is determined by the state, is that correct?
Correct, yep.
And there are parameters or qualifications that people have to meet in order to be eligible for that. So I think people, we don't know, I don't know what those are,
Right.
but I just know that there is criteria for eligibility to qualify. So people need to understand that, too.
Right.
Yeah, so somebody who's got $1 million in the bank cannot walk into Cooper and say, I want one of your affordable houses.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a needs-based requirement.
Right.
One of the other things that we discussed before was this going to be geared so that Littleton residents would have priority?
So the state law doesn't allow us to do that under the first 10%. So I'm going to give you guys a scenario, so hopefully it's understandable. Let's say Cricket Lane came online, and we were able to get them to come from 10% to 20% affordable. At 20% affordable, the first 10% would fall under the state regulations, and it's a lottery. So whatever 10% apply, or whatever 10% get picked, it's a lottery, and it's all random. We can't do a Littleton preference.
Whose law is that, the state?
State law, still state law. Everything we're doing still falls under state law,
Even though it's not an age restricted?
even though it's not age
It's
restricted.
not a 40B?
Right. It's not age restricted, so it's not a 40B, it's not a 40A, it's not a 40R. But what it is that we've got a statute that's established that we know has legal precedence, that has standing in a court of law. But if we can push them to 20, from 10 to 20, that next 10%, the top of the 20, we can put a Littleton preference on that. Now, it doesn't mean we can make the whole next 10% Littleton, but we can ask for 50% of it, 40% of it to be, for the units, whatever that number might be, to have a Littleton preference. So one of the goals, and I have to say, Mark Montanari, who I sit on the board with, has been a real proponent of pushing those numbers, saying, hey, listen, we need to take care, this is a great bylaw if we can take care of our residents and our
Right,
seniors.
Exactly.
And so he's been a proponent of, let's push that number up so we can get above that 10%, so we can get the Littleton preference in. So he's in, on all accounts, it looks like Mark will be the chair after our May meeting, so
Are any of those?
we'll stay on top of him for that push.
Are any of those three developments putting anything in for senior apartment type of things or condominium type of things?
So the field proposal over at the Weber piece, they were showing townhouses and parking. There was a little bit of open space that was missing, but they're working that out.
Right.
There's a conversation, I think, that's going to be had with that developer and the planning board on possibly looking at, and they haven't, so this is going to be news to them if they see this, but we're going to look at maybe proposing to them, we're looking at a smart sewer study, if you want to hold off, and, we'll give you the permits, perhaps, if you do garden style and tie into the sewer, because that'll give us more open space, because you can't use your septic field as open space. So if they can actually tie into the smart sewer with their proposal, and again, that would bump numbers up. So we're trying to work on, there's a lot of moving parts, but on that one particular, if we could get garden style in there with an elevator, it might make more
I'm
sense.
just thinking of more of the ones down on White Street, where they're small, but, people in them, there are two of them adjoined, but they're two separate houses. And it's enough for a pair of seniors to have a very nice situation at a reasonable price.
Yep.
And if some of those were part of it, that would, I'm not,
Right, so that's what he did propose up there on King Street currently, was all townhouse style, so you had two connected units with a firewall separating them.
if they can do them on one floor, that would be great.
It's required.
Yeah.
So that's required.
Okay, when you're saying townhouse, it's one floor.
It's one floor.
Great.
One floor, townhouses, here's a house, you put them together. There's a wall between them, it's a fire-rated wall.
Right.
Yep.
That would be
But it's
great.
still all one-floor living. Now, you could have a second bedroom that could be on the second floor for guests. Or you could have the second bedroom on the first floor and have no second floor. But that's a design criteria that the developer can depend on.
Yeah.
As long as they provide the master suite on the same floor as the kitchen,
Right.
you know, and in the living facilities.
The kids can run up the stairs.
Correct. Get a dog, he can live up there and come down when he wants to, so. But is there any other questions that are out there that I haven't answered that?
Any questions from the guests?
Yeah, I got one.
Sure, please.
What are the prospects of a over 55 senior living, non-assisted apartment building it's totally geared for seniors?
Mhm.
It has everything that's in the bylaw, everything that you could possibly ask for, with showers and the bathrooms and all of that stuff. I mean, can it be done, or is Littleton not interested in an apartment building for seniors?
So it's a great debate that we're having on the planning board. I am definitely in favor of providing that because I think it provides an affordable component that you're not going to get with cottage-style or townhouse or two-family dwellings. So
Yeah.
if we go to a garden-style apartment with an elevator that has all the amenities that are required in this bylaw, you're going to see rental units that are affordable. You're going to see, you know, condo-style units that could be sold that are affordable because obviously the smaller footprint and the more you can put inside one building, the less cost the developer puts out, then he can sell for a more reasonable rate.
But
So-
didn't the bylaw restrict the heights to such that it wouldn't be more than 2 stories high?
So three stories would be the restriction. If we could provide underground parking, so you get parking underneath in a 3-story structure, there's opportunity over by the train station, there's opportunity on King Street. I'm sure we'll see more further down the road.
They would be kind of like the ones on 119, some of them on 119 that are down at Acton.
I don't know that they'd be that way. We have some design criteria that they have to meet
Yeah,
even on the
okay.
exterior, so they would,
I mean, I'd have no, you know, in the right place at the right time, I wouldn't have any objection to it.
right.
And it would mean that some people who wanted to move out of a home and move into a situation which is more of an apartment
Right.
would be quite happy to do that, and the price would be more reasonable.
Right.
Is there a square footage requirement?
There is a square footage requirement. 1,800 square feet, I believe, is the number that we picked for the the maximum that they could be, but let me find that.
That's big. That's pretty big.
It is, and they can be smaller. We just wanted to set a limit to how big they could be, but I want to try to find that before I say that out loud.
I know ours is about 1,800.
Yep.
It's
on the
at
last
the
page.
last page, where you get the top.
1,800 square feet.
It is 18, so I'm not losing my mind yet.
No,
Okay.
the last, should be in there, yeah, somewhere in there.
It's our page
Was it
7.
here?
Thank you. Yeah, okay, 1,800. Thank you. I have
Yes,
a
because
different version than you guys. I have the
Yeah.
proposed one, not the approved one. so.
And I know there were people that were saying 1,800.
Yeah, so
was too
1,800
big,
is the maximum. Yeah,
But
They
that's-
could build them at 800 or 1,000 or 600, and we just need to know if there's demand for it and more than 10 people want it.
Oh,
Because they're going to build 20 units.
Can I make a comment then?
Sure.
All right, this is personal, but my mother lived in Harvard, okay? And she passed away in 2012, but there's an apartment building over there that is geared for seniors. It's everything that I just spoke of a minute ago. It was affordable, okay? And it was absolutely everything that a senior could want. It fit 1 or 2 people quite easily, and these, you know, the management company that built it, okay, maintained it and did all of that stuff, and I just really would like to see Littleton have that.
You're talking about the ones just before you get onto Route 2?
No, it's right over by where Acton Medical's office is on Route 110, right in there, and it's called the name of it. I mailed it all to you guys. I emailed it to Patty and all that. I forget what that is, but
So
it's just a great setup.
it is
okay?
part of the vision of the planning board to have that come into town as well. So we're trying to look at some cottage style. there's a bunch of definitions of different types that we can have. Again, cottage, two-family, townhouse, independent living units, which in our minds are garden-style apartments,
Okay,
and then assisted living residence, so.
okay. A garden-style apartment is what?
Garden-style apartment is typically where you have a balcony on each unit on the outside. It's 1 or 2 bedrooms.
Okay.
It's typically 3 stories high. One thing we're trying to avoid is the total brick facade like you see on 119. We want more of a diverse facade on the exterior, so you have different angles, peaks and valleys, all that good stuff. But it's a center hallway, apartments on each side across from each other.
And you were asking about whether there would be a call for it. So this company, SK Management, operates 39 different buildings in Massachusetts and other ones in New England, okay? And I looked at their website, and every one has a waiting list of about a year. So, yes, people want them.
So they should be coming before the planning board with a proposal as soon as they have a piece of land.
Maybe I should give them a call then.
Maybe
Yeah, by all means, let
them
people know that do
Get the
this,
word
that
out.
this is available, this is a viable option for them.
I was critical as any son would be about where his mother lived, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with this place.
David, how tall are those buildings?
This one was 2 floors, and it looks more like a house and a barn than it does an apartment building.
Right. And see, and that's what we would be looking for, architectural features such as that.
Yeah.
Where you have the house and the barn as opposed to the 3-story brick building with the, wrought iron balcony.
Okay.
Right.
So,
What do you call affordable?
Well, my mother's, she's long gone, so her Social Security was $1,200 a month, and she lived very handily on that, with money to spare. All right, heat, hot water, everything included.
Ed, can I ask a different question? What's happening with the master plan is looking at apartments down around the common and so forth. And I've had 3 people in the past week that have said, I would like to find a place, but I need to be able, I can't drive, I've been told I can't drive anymore. What am I gonna do? I need to be within, walking distance of the grocery store and so forth. How far away do you think that is?
So we got a vote coming up at town meeting for smart sewer. As long as we can get support for the smart sewer study, that's going to allow density in the downtown area. Right now, it's pretty difficult because of nitrogen loading, because of all the septic systems. We don't have any sewer to handle more residential units in a dense area.
Okay.
The smart sewer, if that gets approved, the next step, I would think you would see people that own property in the common area or anywhere down towards Donlands or over by the train station are going to come back to us and say, well, not that the sewer's going over by train, I should leave that one out, but they can then increase the density and provide housing that meets all the design criteria for a senior in the downtown area.
Well, I'm just curious because I know I had a friend of mine came to our church for a while who was living in the house on Sullivan Way, is it the great big old farmhouse, which I'm sure could fall down very quickly. And it would be very nice if there was some kind of units that would be put in there, because there you've got walkability, CVS.
Yeah. And that's part of the goal of the master plan. It's part of the goal
Right.
as a senior residential development. It's part of the goal of the selectmen with their smart sewer study. So you have a lot of components that are all driving this, and we have a work. We've just got to get the votes to make sure it happens. And that's the hardest part.
We have to educate, as you're doing, thank you for educating us today, and people that might be listening too, but, because I know, it also, I keep telling the board members, you need to get out to these meetings, and they talked about the smart sewer system last Thursday night at the planning board,
Right.
which was fascinating to hear more about it, and you don't realize how intricate it all is, and how one thing affects another. So people need to pay attention and get information, and we hope we can help people get that information too.
And get that
We
information.
understand it.
And those people that can't drive anymore, give them rides on voting day.
Well, we
Get them
do.
down there. Get them down to the polling
Hey,
station.
we provide transportation on voting day. Yep.
And I'll volunteer. I'll drive. As long as they don't
Oh,
mind.
we have a van that'll do that.
I've got a motorcycle that can ride on the back.
That sounds great. You probably have somebody that would like to do that too.
People don't realize, they think, not in my backyard, and they don't think of the important impact that the sewer in that area can have, not necessarily for them, but in giving the town some housing that would allow seniors to remain in town. And
It's valuable to the town because it also allows different types of businesses and everything else, you know, so.
Right. We're looking for a diverse community in the downtown area. We have
Right.
mixed use of commercial, residential components, sharing space, you know, where you can have apartments above, next to, you know, nice eateries, coffee shops, you know, a laundromat that can actually stay in business because they're not polluting the earth anymore. They're actually in a system that can treat it. There's a bunch of different components that could be in the downtown area. In the overlay district, we've also, even before I was on the planning board, they did an overlay where the parking is required in the rear of buildings. So you're going to see development that's going to push buildings towards the street and the parking in the rear. So we're not going to see these parking lots anymore. We're going to see
Right.
buildings meeting architectural details that are required and putting the cars behind the buildings.
You know, we're actually gonna end up with a main street in Littleton.
Well, that's our goal. I don't know if we'll see it in my lifetime, but it's our goal, you know, so.
Well, if it's
I
not
think
in your
you-
lifetime, it'll definitely not be in mine.
You made an important point. You're not going to see it in your lifetime. We certainly aren't going to see it in our lifetime. I mean, we're really working for the future and planning this.
When we voted that bylaw
This is a
through,
great
we didn't expect to
document.
have three things come up with developers coming in under the new bylaw and saying, I want to do this.
Right.
I would never have expected that on this shorter notice, and yet I was amazed that all of a sudden we have three.
I don't know. I don't know that.
No.
But so you're right, and I hope that we're taking steps tomorrow towards all this, and I think we could see something within a year or two that would be our first one. I don't think it'll be in the downtown area. I think we'll see it Cricket Lane, King Street, or Foster Street. You know, it's going to be one of the first three that got proposed. Will be the first three that gets built. I think you're not going to see anything in the downtown area until the smart sewer gets voted
Right,
in.
exactly.
And then once that gets designed and installed, then I think you'll see people lining up to do it. I really think that's going to be the home run for the Littleton Common area. Again, there's components or proponents to a moratorium for any development in Littleton, which scares me to death, because once the moratorium is proposed and it gets on a bylaw or even proposed at a meeting for a vote, the next day, everybody runs into the building department with their planned residential development, whether it's, and they hold it by right. So all they do is increase development for the next 5 years in the town. It doesn't actually stop it, it increases it. And it turns into a horror show. So if you hear the squawk, anybody wants a moratorium, you tell them that it's a bad thing to do. If you want to help control the growth of Littleton and the speed of development in which it's occurring, then help us write bylaws that do that.
Right.
But don't try to get it done by moratorium. That's just a bad idea.
Fantastic.
Wow. Ooh. Any
Oh, I
questions?
know, there was another question that came up in the video, and it was about a tax break.
Oh, yes.
A different tax rate for
We
seniors.
do have a tax break. Go ahead, no, go
So
ahead.
I was going to say that, you know, so there's obviously the senior tax
Yes.
work-off program, and then there's also the state allows you as an owner of a property to, I forget what the term is, but you don't have to pay your taxes in lieu
Defer.
of, you can defer it, that's the word I was
Defer it.
looking for.
And then when you
And then
die, they sell.
When they
the
sell your property, the taxes
How
get.
far can I defer it? Remember, I'm gonna be 80 on Saturday.
They do that.
So,
property too.
You're
so-
still gonna pay the taxes,
well,
but
you're not paying the taxes, your estate's paying the
It's-
taxes.
that's correct.
But if you're looking to hold on to some cash now, that's one way to do it. Unfortunately, there's, you know, the seniors before, the seniors now paid taxes for their kids to go to school, and I'm gonna pay taxes as a senior in this town for other kids to go to school, even though my kids will be out of the school system. It's just the way the system works.
Yep.
And if people aren't contributing,
Somebody paid for us.
you know, so.
Exactly.
But
My
I-
husband's been saying that
I
for
think
all
the,
along.
the fact that that question was raised says to me, we need to maybe get our awareness subcommittee to get more information out to people in town about that program. Because I guess the word isn't out and people don't understand that it's there. Because
You mean
it
the
doesn't
tax
help so
work-off?
much.
I assume that there are
No,
restrictions.
there
There are
the
income
real estate
restrictions.
tax abatement
everybody
type of
does
thing.
Oh,
I've been talking with
Perhaps,
Kathy
I
Miller
don't know
Hold
if that's
on.
true.
about that.
Liz just has something to say about that, so.
Oh, I've been speaking with Kathy Miller here at the town hall to raise awareness about the tax abatement program. So she's going to help us get something together.
great.
That's good. because I think this.
But I think Bob made a good point too, that it might be income restricted as well. If you make a certain amount of money over, then you might still have to pay
There we go
your
again.
fair share.
Well, there's always those
Just
restrictions. And
Just
also,
because you have millions and millions of dollars, you can't get an abatement.
and also,
I
no,
can keep trying.
and I don't think it's a good, it's not helpful to people that still have a mortgage. If your property is totally paid for and you don't have a mortgage, then I think you benefit more from it, so. But anyway, but the point is, information needs to be, we need to focus on that, get that information out so that people understand all the parameters involved in all of this when it comes to housing, so. Other questions for Ed, and any from our guests here?
We're
I was at the
thinking,
meeting, I said enough.
So we started one question before the meeting actually started, so I want an official vote. Beard or no beard? What's the vote?
Beard.
They're okay with a beard.
I didn't hear from the audience. What was it? Beard? No comment. You didn't care. All right, folks.
Well,
Thanks for having me,
yes.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for information.
We have,
When's
your next meeting?
First Thursday of May.
Every first Thursday of every month, planning board meets, correct?
Correct, and sometimes we'll schedule a second meeting in the same month from that date.
All you need to do is go online and take a
Saying
look.
that, and you don't know how illiterate I am.
Well, you know what, you're gonna learn.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. We really, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, and thank you for coming to help us get it straight in our heads, I think, so. Lots of questions, so. And we'll have to get to work on helping to spread the correct information.
Get out there and talk to anybody you know that has land or wants to do this, and
Yep.
be happy to entertain them in front of the planning board.
So,
Have a good day.
all right, thank you. All right. Friends, come to the table, please. We bypassed you, and thank you for being so tolerant. But I just really didn't want to keep him away from work any longer than we had to, so. It was nice that he offered to come. We did not beg him to come. He offered.
yeah. It was nice of him to come. I appreciate what he had to say. And everybody out there has to remember that you know the old saying, the buck doesn't stop here. Well, the seniors don't stop here. There's going to be more seniors and more seniors always. It's always going to be, so they have to always look at doing something for seniors, even if it isn't going to be us.
No, and we know that there's amazing data that came out in the needs assessment that was done by the Gerontology Institute at UMass about the projections of how the population of seniors in the town of Littleton was going to increase dramatically. So we know that. So, and that information, I think people don't know either, but we need to get that back out of, it was out in the forefront, but I think people forget unless they keep hearing things, so.
Right, right.
But could I also, before you start, just thank you, friends. Barbara did a wonderful piece in interviewing 4 seniors in town about housing and what their perceptions were as to what is appropriate. So, thank you, and that was a wonderful video. So
Thank you.
I just want to thank you for that.
We're getting good feedback, and Mark just told me that some people have been going on saying, thank you for doing it,
Yep.
because I'm a senior, and I like the fact that although I can't come to the meetings, this person said, at least you're someone's there talking for us. So
No, it
we'll
was-
do more if they want some.
Yeah, it was
Do they
great.
have a listing of when you're on? You know,
Lately, it's a lot.
Well, I know, I
But
mean,
they,
you never know.
they do. What I'll do is I'll ask them for it, and we'll post it over in COA. Okay?
Thank you
Because I'm
much.
not even sure. Dave, you're not sure either.
No, not sure.
Okay, so I am suffering from allergy problems right now, so I have to keep leaving the room to cough. I don't want to.
It's all right.
And use a Kleenex. You know. So I wrote everything down so that in case if I happen to quit.
I'll just give you that, you can mark where you left
Yeah,
off.
yeah, and then you can continue. Okay, so first of all, I want to say that, hello, everybody.
Hello.
And each month you hear that the intergenerational programs are doing very well, and this month we're continuing to say the same. And thanks to Nancy Levine, our programs to bring seniors, doing our programs, you know, and our programs to bring seniors and our young people together is working. Michelle Hurth's class, which is a high school class, has been working on a fold-out flyer for our thrift shop, and it's beautiful, and I can't wait to show it. We'll be putting them around different places. The Friends are taking this month off, so there won't be any special luncheon from us, but that's because the high school did a spaghetti lunch, and the light department is doing their annual lunch too. But instead of a Friends luncheon, and thank you, Marge, most of us will be on stage in the Senior Follies movie, Futuristic Follies. That'll be the program that'll be passed out that evening, that afternoon, I should say. It's on April 15th at 2 p.m., and I hear you saying that's tax day. Well, this time it's Senior Follies Day. And here's your chance to forget about taxes for an hour and laugh at our terrific cast of characters as we laugh at ourselves. I think we like embarrassing ourselves, right, Sharon? Yes, we do. The cost is $5 per person, and the money will go into the Friends Fund for seniors. And please get your tickets today and tell your friends. The Friends Thrift Shop is having its annual $3 a bag sale the last week in April and the first week in May. So it's time to clean out your closets and come to buy a whole new wardrobe because we have great stuff.
Now, are you saying that you can take any season, or are you just taking the spring
We
season?
take any
now?
season
Okay.
because we have a storage room,
Oh, good.
which is really packed, and we need to get that stuff out now
I've got a
to the
lot I
thrift
want
shop.
to put in, so.
What's it called, a bag day?
$3 a bag.
$3 a bag.
$3 bag day.
Not Bag Lady Day. $3 a bag day. The Friends also support a list of other programs for our seniors, and we hope to continue that dedication to the Council on Aging and our elders. And we know that Sharon does a craft class that's getting a lot of people, or rather, she's handing it over to Anita Harding, but we did that, among other things. So that's our news for this month.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Always lots
Come
of great
see our
things.
show, the movie.
Can't wait. It's always, as I said,
And
I
everyone,
love to laugh, and it is usually very conducive to laughing.
and everyone is saying, why a movie? I don't know why. We just decided it might be fun to do something different.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go back down then now to the second item under old business, and that is just a brief update on the Town Building and Space Needs Analysis Working Group. And that group, I think if you remember the meeting, last month's meeting, I am attending and representing you, also the secretary, so it helps to get the matter up the gray matter, you know, have the information firmly planted there. So, however, and Liz is a part of the work advisory group, support group, that's what they're called. So far we've had 2 meetings. We meet now, and you're welcome to attend. It's an open meeting. So the second and fourth Wednesday of the month, generally at 7 o'clock in this room. If you're interested ever in, you know, coming and finding out or participating. The first meeting was more of an organizational meeting, you know, kind of getting organized and getting a sense of where we needed to go and how to start and that kind of thing. The second meeting was this coming Wednesday is our third meeting, so it was a week ago, our second meeting, and we spent probably an hour and a half, close to an hour and a half,
Close to that.
from 7 to 8:30 touring this building. Because we've spent a lot of time talking about the whole, it's a complex issue when you're talking about space needs in town. And all of the groups that need space. To say not to minimize it, but it is so complex and a little overwhelming to me. I'm learning, but there's a lot of, it's like the same thing with the sewer system, you know, one thing affects another type of thing. And so we decided we needed to look at Shattuck Street and look at the space here so that we had a good sense of what the situation was, and we did that. And then we sat down and talked a little bit more, and as I said, our next meeting is this Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. So,
Have you any idea when the library will be moving?
well, that's not a done deal yet, so that's all out there in the works. There's the library, you know, everybody needs space. The library needs space. They're, you know, they know that they're on the list to get the grant, and they're high on the list.
Yep.
So, you know, that's coming. They're projecting that, you know, if everything went smoothly and, everything got voted in and all of that, it's conceivable that a library could be built within 2 years or 3 years, something like that. Mark Rambacher?
Rambacher, yeah.
Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
He represents the library in this group. And so he did update the members as to the status of that. And, you know, people have talked about their vision for Littleton, and some people have a vision of having, for example, having, you know, an area where you would drive in and it was like a cul-de-sac and you have 3 buildings with, you know,
Like a campus.
a campus,
Yeah.
right, that's
Where you have
what
the
it is.
town hall, and you have the senior center
Right.
/ Parks and Rec, and then you have your library all together. in
Something
one
like
area.
that, you know.
Like 3 individual buildings.
Well, yeah, if that would manage, but be enough space. And then but everybody's you're having to look at the cost of renovating this building, all the complicating factors involved, because if you,
I was gonna say, wasn't there discussion about that in order to do any renovation in this building, you're gonna have to get rid of all the asbestos?
well, that's.
It's not only that, if anything gets done in this building at all, the whole building has to get renovated completely,
And it has to come up to code of
up to code
2018.
from now, yep.
Yep.
Well, what triggers the code for ADA, to have to meet ADA standards, is you can only spend a certain amount of money on repair, or doing things in this building without triggering the code, and so
Right.
that limits you amazingly. So Steve Moore is on the committee, and he kind of explained that to
Yeah,
everybody.
it's very complicated, like you said.
It is complicated, it's very complicated, and it's a lot to digest, but we're working at it, you know. So, but I would welcome you to come, we'll update you, Liz and I can update you at every meeting, so you know what's going on, but come to the meetings also if you have thoughts or
So
questions.
it's this Wednesday.
This Wednesday night at 7 is our next meeting.
And you said there are minutes being taken?
I do the minutes, I'm the secretary.
Okay, so they're getting...
The
they
minutes are
must-
not done yet from last meeting. I'm late. It's been a crazy couple of weeks for me, so I hope to get them done this afternoon after this. And they have to be done by Wednesday and out to the members, so.
Right.
Did the Park and Rec speak up?
Park and Rec, they're represented. And Alicia, actually, we got a wonderful tour.
Yep, we got a full tour, and they had a PowerPoint presentation on a potential new space or addition that they could be doing down by the lake. Which lake is that?
Long Lake.
Long Lake.
Yeah, there's a
that's a
real
potential.
need for a building down there, and they explained all of that to us, and as we learn more about that, we'll share it with you. But they have the drawings and everything, and they have some funding towards it, and the selectmen have supported it, rather. So, but there's a need, the bathhouse, I guess, is in ill repair down there, and so, yeah, they're looking at things too. They're also represented in this group. Mark Crory represents the Park and Rec. So there's a lot going on in this
A
town.
lot of moving pieces.
A lot
to
of
this.
things, so. Any other questions for Liz or I about that? No? Okay, thank you. Let's move on to new business. We have been very fortunate in the last month to have received 2 donations. One was restricted, if I'm not, right, this one is not, or is it?
They're both tread.
Oh, they both, okay. So we have received 2 donations for the TREAD program. They are restricted for that program. So one came from from Kristen Grimes, and another one came from Sharon and Stephen McCarthy, and they total $1,025 for that program. So we do, historically, we vote to accept the funds, and then the selectmen, or the town gets
1025.
the money and it goes on into the coffers. So, I will.
Move
Thank you. Maureen's right there.
that we donate the.
We accept.
That we earmark or accept.
Accept.
The 2 donations in the sum of $1,025 to the TRED fund.
Thank you.
And I second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye, aye. And unanimous. Bob? Thank you kindly. Okay, and the next item is the distribution of manual updates. So, let's see. The new board members do not need it. They received their manual right after our last meeting. I finally got them done and got them out to them. But, so there is an update. I gave Jean hers. So there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's one in the office. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So each of you take one, and then I will explain to you, please, how to look at your old manual and to use this.
Okay.
It'll only take a quick minute.
That's all right. Well, this is nice.
You don't want it?
I have
So-
one.
You have one.
He already has his, yes. I did take the liberty, when Jean Johnson offered to make the name tags that we were missing, Ann Lee's and David and Liz's, so after she came home last week, when I went over with the paper for her, I took her, she needed to make sure she spelled their names correctly, and so I took her packet, her update packet to her. So you will notice you have a new table of contents. Please follow the table of contents when you go to remove things from your old your manuals and insert the new things. Because you have tabs now to try to organize it. So you
Nice.
have rules and laws, and then right under that, if you look at your table of contents, it tells you exactly what goes under that tab. So just do that with each tab. Job descriptions, put the items in that order, etc. Okay? It's easy. Anything that you have in there, unless you want it personally, you don't have to keep. Because sometimes we made many adjustments to the contents of the manual. We updated some of the job descriptions, etc. The rules and regulations we had to make a change to. So that's why there was a major overhaul done. And to try to make it a little bit more organized and easier to find, more user-friendly. So, have fun. It won't take you but 5 minutes. Okay? All right. And, moving on. The reason that I put this on the agenda, or Patty and I put this on the agenda, was actually for Ann Lee and David's benefit, because I wanted to just spend a little bit of time reviewing the subcommittees that we have in place to help them know, as they're thinking about a subcommittee, they need to make a decision at some point about which subcommittee they might enjoy spending the next year on. If you're assigned to a subcommittee, it doesn't mean you have to stay there forever. You can switch. Generally, actually, at the beginning of our year is at our first meeting in August. We vote in June as far as the board officers, etc. And then we historically have taken a vote not to meet in the month of July. And then we kind of regroup again in August for the year. So we currently have a membership subcommittee which does not meet routinely. It's an active committee. But it's really the membership subcommittee that did the manual that, goes over things, makes the suggestions for changes, brings it to the board for the board's vote, etc. They do things like, if at this time of the year, if there's somebody that they feel might be nominated to be an emeritus board member, they might bring that to the board. That comes up usually in June or in May. So that committee is a small group. It's actually Jean and Maureen right now, and I was on that committee as an active member until I became chair, and then I became an ex officio member, and I still attend all their meetings. So, but it's not a heavy duty thing. Is that fair, Maureen, to say?
Yes.
Okay. And then we have a space subcommittee. And the space subcommittee currently consists of Patty, Bob, and Jean Johnson, correct? Am I right? Okay, make sure I'm right here. And Liz and myself, really, because my perception is that because we're, assigned to the town group, that we really are a part of that subcommittee. And we usually do attend the subcommittee meetings if there are any. So I think the issue of space is well covered by board representation and the director being involved. I'm not concerned about that, that committee having enough help with thinking about things. We have a housing subcommittee, and that has been, obviously, that's why Ed Mullen was here today as chair to help us understand the changes in the laws and things that are now in place. And Patty and Bob were on, and continue to serve on the housing subcommittee. They were very involved and worked effectively with the planning board to help get that bylaw that Eddie just went over.
So was Mary
place.
and Mary.
And Mary Picard and Mary C. were involved too. Because the awareness subcommittee is so critically important in getting the word out about things, and we had nobody on that committee, the two Marys switched over at my request for help. They switched over to the awareness subcommittee. And Maureen,
Who's on that now?
the awareness?
Yeah.
Right now it's Maureen. They just recently, Mary Picard, Mary C. And at their last meeting, they just decided on officers, who's going to be the chair and who would be the secretary, et cetera. And Maureen is the chair, and Mary Picard is the secretary at this right now. There is a huge need, my perception is there's a huge need to get, it was evident today, we've got to get more information out to the public. So I'm asking if you two would consider joining the awareness subcommittee. I mean, even if it's just ideas and how to get the word out. Subcommittees meet once a month, generally. No more than that, if that. Sometimes there's no meetings. But the awareness subcommittee has been meeting monthly recently and trying to pull things together and to get organized. And the meetings generally don't last more than an hour. I've never known one to go over an hour. And the other thing is that it kind of helps you because everybody, for new board members, it's a great way to know what's going on because you're getting educated about what needs to be out and sent out to the public. So
This meeting is going to be held tomorrow at 1:30?
the awareness subcommittee meeting is tomorrow at 1:30. There is a subcommittee posted. These meetings, subcommittee meetings, you have to be sworn in
Okay.
to also. And they are posted, just like this meeting is posted. They're open meetings. They're not generally held in this room. We usually find the place right now. The meeting tomorrow is scheduled for the assessors conference room downstairs, across from the photocopy room now.
205, I think. I'm
205, I
going
think
from
it
memory.
It's across from
Huh?
printing.
Right.
Right across from
205.
The break room and where the photocopy machine is down there. So that's the subcommittees. Those are the 4 subcommittees that we have in place. And I'm really, as I said, I put this on the agenda to help David and Ann Lee and ask that you would consider, if you know right away where you think you want to be, that's great. We can get you appointed. Otherwise, let us know and get back to us if you would. So.
You listening?
I'm listening.
Well, it's hard too, David.
I
You
don't
work
have a
part-time.
problem with that. The only thing I have a problem with, a great problem, is the day and the time.
Well, then if
I'm not sure about anybody else, but I'm still working, so.
Okay, so,
then we have to figure that out somehow and work around whatever. So
so are you working today?
I'm working today. I gotta go back to work when I'm done here, but I have, my boss
Flexibility,
is very
some-
gracious and lets me just,
some
Come on.
flexibility. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But 2 days in a row is asking a little too much.
Oh yeah. No. I would not ask you to certainly do that either. And I think the thing is, well, the group, the 3 people that are on, I'm an ex officio member, but I try to go to the meetings. so I know what's going on. They were trying to find a good day for everybody. So, you know, you go back to the drawing board. If you got a new person, you go back to the drawing board and try to find a good day for everybody once, so that it's consistent every month and you know what's
I
going
don't
to
work
happen.
Fridays.
And that
You don't
meeting
work
is, that meeting is going to be
I work
Wednesday.
Fridays.
It's going to be Tuesdays?
No.
Tomorrow
The next
it's
meeting of the
Tuesday, yes.
assessors.
For
Tuesday.
this
The
month.
next
Yes.
meeting of the,
But
Tomorrow
like
is the
David's
next
saying,
Saturday.
he doesn't
Tuesday,
work
okay.
Fridays.
Tuesday at 1:30.
That might be a possibility.
Who's
David
on
says he doesn't
first
work
here?
Fridays.
Well, then you can, you know, if you want, if you're willing to serve on that subcommittee, that would, I'm sure they'll try.
In the afternoon,
What works for you?
I would prefer afternoon.
That's good with me.
Early
Gets me out of
afternoon.
cleaning the bathroom.
Yeah, early's fine.
Oh, that's good for me, actually, because I go to Loaves and Fishes in the morning, and I could swing right back out here for a meeting in the afternoon.
Right,
So,
like
I don't know if it's
12:30
good
who
for you.
wants to serve on it, and then if that's the case, those people can get together and figure out a time.
Very good,
Doesn't have to
Mr.
be done
Stetson.
here.
I think they almost did already. They were ahead of you a little.
All right,
Tomorrow
both
at
of you- both of you-
1:30.
Yep.
That's the next meeting, Mary. We're not talking about that right now. But that's tomorrow. Nobody has to be at that meeting tomorrow. That was planned a while ago.
If you are available, fine. If you're not, I'll
Fine.
make sure that I send out minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you both. I'm taking it then. You're both willing to serve
Yeah,
on that
secretary.
subcommittee.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's great. Thank you.
You love doing that. I forgot.
Let her do it. Mary?
I hate doing secretary.
You told me you wanted that.
Well, I didn't want to be the president or the chairman.
All right, so David, you can note in the minutes, Bob, that David and Ann Lee have agreed to be on the, thank you. And thank you both very much.
You're welcome.
It's, I think, critically important right now for all us.
What's item D? Didn't we already do that?
What's that?
Space
What's
sub.
item D, didn't we already do that?
Patty, we put the Space Committee, Subcommittee on the agenda?
We did because we need to plan a meeting.
That's got nothing to do with the
And
board.
Bob and I will get together after this meeting and plan a meeting.
Okay, then we are done
So
with
we
that.
don't even need that.
No. Okay, thank you. And how are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing all right today, yeah. So, we're down to reports. Bob, you're on when you're ready.
You all received, you didn't get the March ones for, you haven't got the March numbers, okay.
No, not yet.
You received your two reports. The March report, you can see, we just do not have the number of riders for March and April, for February and March. We'll get those to you as soon as we get them from the, whatever it's called. But nothing is spectacular on that. Obviously, we're up to, the driver's hours are back up to 385, so that we're ripping with the, even without one van. And the monthly riders, we will, you know, we give, I'm sure we'll indicate that kind of a thing. It was up to 588 in November when we had 350 hours, so I would guess that it was a very strong number. Expenses are nothing other than the usual, so that's that report unless somebody has a question. The, you haven't made the adjustments yet on the recreation service, right?
No, not yet.
Bob, I noticed, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I noticed that on the phone, every other month it's 0. Is that
That's
because we're
because-
just doing it bi-monthly?
The, no, the town office pays that bill and allocates it out to us, and I don't know why, but it, you know, the only thing I can do is take it off the town report when it shows up. Sometimes they will do it once a month, sometimes they will do it once every other month, and some, I guess we got
Which
the other
one
ones
is that?
free.
Phone
Phone.
expenses?
Because they're all about $100 when they are paid, so it's not a double number. So it's just whatever they charge us.
Thank you.
That's because we're part of their system. Okay, on the regular office, you can see, I think this March it probably ends the extra money for the interim director, because she's through now, right?
She's still on a couple hours a week,
Oh, okay.
finishing up some things.
But that was also included in the COA director's numbers, which is why they tend to be higher than they would normally. And the two outreach coordinators are together in there. And other than that, there was nothing spectacular in any of the pieces. I assume that somebody went to a conference, so there was travel. And then the rest of it, there is going to be an adjustment to the recreation services only because we weren't taking off the money that was coming in to pay for the you know, the $2 that everybody gives. We weren't taking that off, and so it shows actually a larger cost than there is because we've got to do a changeover so that we deduct the cost of the amounts that came in by the dollar amounts. That's just an accounting thing. So, anybody have any questions on it?
No.
Just for the benefit, I don't know if I mentioned this last month, but for the benefit of Ann Lee and David, we are a supervisory board. We have no management responsibilities. I mean, we're an advisory board. Did I say supervisory?
Yeah, you did.
I'm sorry, scratch that. We're an advisory board. And the financial information is given to us, though, so that we have a sense of the complexity of what's going on, and we understand that, so that it helps us have a better feel for things.
And Liz sets that budget that we work under every year. She's given a total number by the town, and then she sets the budget every year, and so we can, with her, adjust that if we want, but basically, it just gives us an idea. We try to set the budget for each category according to realities of what they are. So I'm a money person, so I don't like to ever see negatives, but that happens, and the total budgets are well within range, even though it may be a little bit off in individual items on subcategories. So we're doing fine right now.
Thank you.
If there, it's just a question, if we don't use all the money in our budget, do we
You don't
lose
get
it?
it back.
Right,
We don't get it back?
you don't.
Oh.
Don't worry. We've had some.
It used to be that at the end of the year, in the month of June, they would find all kinds of things that they needed and supplies, and but then again, on the other side, we ran into situations at times where the drivers were costing us more than the thing, and so we had to have that special fund to you know,
But you
pay for
can't
the
put that-
drivers to keep our business going. So,
Yeah.
you know, all this is for us is a way to see
Where the money's
approximately
going.
where we are.
Yeah. And there's been some unexpected bills coming up, but I'll cover that in my report, too.
Okay.
And the same goes for the outreach workers report, too. You know, it's helpful to us, which we're about to get to, and I think, is Nicole doing that? Are you
Yep.
doing it for us? Thank you. You can come up if you'd like. But I wanted to just emphasize again, and for the benefit of David and Ann Lee, that we get this information so we have an understanding of, you know, what's going on and how busy they are, and, you know, because it's our job to make suggestions to help make things better, so.
Doesn't the Friends pay for the postage to the broadcaster? I don't know.
Broadcaster, yeah. What's
There's
that got
an-
to do with it, with these reports? We're talking about the outreach reports and the financial reports. So they.
Broadcaster that goes out.
They're not in the
We
budget.
get in the mail.
That's not
That
in the
has
budget.
nothing to do
No,
with it.
no, the Friends pay for that, don't they?
Yes.
Right.
Either that or it's
That's
a
all I
donation.
asked,
Or it's a
okay.
donation, yeah.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with,
No,
okay.
but it's money.
Right, well, the Friends
it
do a
doesn't
lot.
matter for us.
They do a lot more than just pay for the broadcaster, so.
No, but it's nice
Well,
to
that's
be
not the-
acknowledged.
The broadcaster is a cost, and
They are in
where
the
it's been paid for in the
broadcaster
past
every
is by
month.
a gift.
They are acknowledged. Just so that you're aware, I know you're aware of it.
Okay. We have Nicole here, And she's going to go over the outreach report.
Yep.
Thank you.
So Tina sent you all the reports, so you have the numbers, everything.
It's in your packet.
Yep. And I just have a few things that are going on in May. Well, actually, I have a few things for April, too. So the Catholic Heart Work Camp, the deadline to put your name on the list is the 30th of this month. And the Day of Caring, the deadline for that is this Friday, the 13th. Right? Is that this Friday or next Friday? This Friday. This Friday, okay. So those are both coming up. So we have a few names on the list, but we're still accepting people for both of those. And in May, we have a bunch of stuff going on. We have silk scarf painting on May 16th.
That was fun.
Yeah. And Brains and Balance is starting up on May 11th. We're going to have a sleep presentation with a doctor from Neshoba Valley Hospital, and that's going to be on May 11th. And we also have, last month we had Heather Hurd from Blue Cross and Blue Shield come and do a presentation on Medicare. She's coming back in May to do a presentation for people who have just turned 65 or who are about to turn 65 for planning, and that's on May 23rd. And we're also starting a coffee hour once a month with Tina, myself, and Liz. And so people can come to chat and kind of ask
Happy
questions.
hour?
No, I wish. No, coffee hour.
Oh, coffee.
Coffee hour.
When is that going to
So the first one's going to be May 23rd, and that's at 9 o'clock.
And all of this will be in the
What will be the
broadcast.
coffee
Yep.
hour about?
Yeah.
What will that coffee hour be about?
It'll just be the three of us, and so you can ask us questions, chat, stop by to meet Liz.
It's like open office hours.
Get to know your COA staff.
Yeah. So it'll be an hour a month.
And where are you going to hold that?
I think we decided room 230, right?
230.
Yeah.
Okay.
Social Club won't be there on that day because it's a Thursday.
Great.
But that room's a little cozier, so.
Good.
And that's all.
The awareness committee needs to get that out so people know what's happening.
Right. And it will be in the broadcaster, everything
Good.
is in the broadcaster.
We can put it on the Facebook page too.
It's the end of May, so it'll be in
end
the
of
May
May, okay.
broadcaster.
What is it, May 21st?
Yep, so people will hopefully have time to plan.
Mm-hmm. Do you take contributions as far as desserts or anything?
I think, yeah.
That sounds good.
Contributions are always welcomed, right?
Especially if they're edible, yes. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
That's great.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Nicole?
No, but I have a message for her.
Oh. Okay.
on the 11th?
What day does your little fella turn 1 year?
The 18th.
Of this month?
Yeah.
That was my father's birthday.
Was it really?
Oh, no, this is April. No,
This is April, yeah.
May 18th.
Oh, that's the day of the Light and Water Department luncheon, right? Get that up.
So I'll bring it and we'll figure out how to get it.
Sure, of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Nicole. And moving on, Liz has also submitted a written report for you, and she's going to go over it, and if you have questions for her, speak up.
Okay, so you all have,
You think we're shy?
so my report is in the packet. Like I mentioned earlier, a few unexpected expenses have come up. One of them was on March 26th, we had an issue with the stove down in the senior diner. It got stuck on, so we had to have Hunter Appliance come and fix that. So that, we are waiting for the invoice on that repair.
Wouldn't that have been covered under the
There was
purchase?
It didn't, it was outside of warranty period.
Okay, but there is a fund for, this, I assume this will be taken out of that fund?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not as though we're gonna have to come up with the money?
No, just unexpected.
Mm-hmm, okay.
Did you, I'm sorry, did you say there is a written report?
Yep.
Yes,
it's this one.
yes.
Looks like that.
You didn't get one? What's in the rest of you? Oh,
I don't have one.
she was left out. What's this?
There it is.
There it is.
Okay.
Pieces of paper.
They should be numbered. That would help.
I'll do that next time. This is my first time putting it together. Let's see, on,
We're in order, though.
yes.
They were.
MCOA put out a falls prevention grant request, so I submitted one for the Brains and Balance program. Now, they put it out kind of last minute. There was about a week and a half to submit a grant. So I had been talking with MCOA. What I had proposed didn't fit all of the requirements because there wasn't enough time to prepare a full program, and they told me to go ahead and submit with what I had proposed. So fingers crossed, we'll have some funding for our Brains and Balance program.
Oh, good.
We've been working on new collaborations with Minuteman Senior Services, which is our local aging services access point. They provide a lot of case management to Littleton consumers and provide, Gail and their senior diner. I've met with one of their brand new case managers who's covering Littleton, and we had her meet the outreach workers and gave her a tour of the COA. And I also met with Amy Manili, who is their grant writer. And she also does all of their healthy living programs to see if we can get some evidence-based programs here at the senior center. Now, the evidence-based programs are all, they come out of Stanford University, and they're tried and tested programs such as powerful tools for caregivers, chronic disease self-management, chronic pain self-management, the Savvy Caregiver program. So I'm trying to get those here at the EHS department. And we're hoping for fall.
The Savvy Caregiver was a wonderful
Yes.
matchup.
Yeah, they have really great programs, and they would be at no cost to us. So we're hoping to get at least maybe Matter of Balance started first, because that seems to be their most popular program. So we're hoping to get that first in the fall, and then see what we can do for additional programming. See, we have some money in the formula grant from Elder Affairs, so we're using that to purchase new tables and chairs for room 230. As you know, down there right now, there are card tables that are not sturdy, and then there's chairs with no arms, which is not really conducive to our population who is using that room. So we're putting in for sturdier tables and chairs that have arms.
Very good.
So we need that by June.
Do you know how much about it'll cost?
I don't know yet. The formula grant itself is about 16,000 plus. So that's just one of the components of that grant.
We had talked a couple of months ago about using that for something else.
Part of the interim director salary
Yeah.
and potentially part of the administrative assistant salary.
Right, administrative assistant,
Yep.
which stuck in my head, is that been put on the board, put on the,
I had to do a staffing vacancy review form with Bonnie and Ann in HR. I've submitted that, and I believe it's now with Anthony Insaldi, who reviews it, and then it has to get posted.
okay, but will there be enough money left after we buy chairs and
Yes.
tables to cover it part-time?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That was part of the staffing review form I had to do with Bonnie.
And that's a part-time position.
Yes, it's about 15 hours a week.
Right, which is not huge, but it's a help.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Anything helps.
Anything.
And just an update for our transportation. Right now, we have officially 2 vans on the road every day except Tuesday. When it's been a few months at least where we haven't had 2 vans on the road every day. We have a new driver, Lori, who started. Today is her first day driving solo. Our newer van that was in the accident that's getting repaired is in New York at the manufacturer. It's being repaired right now, finally. There was some back and forth about the appraisal, and it had to be adjusted a few times to be appropriate for the damage that was done. So it's in process of being repaired, and we hope to get it back within
Finally.
a month. Yeah.
That was a long.
It's a long
Yeah.
process.
Will we get any insurance from that, or,
Yes. Yeah, that was part of the appraisal.
okay.
Back and forth, back and forth.
And we'll only pay the difference out of the van fund.
Yes, yeah. And also out of the van fund, we had a bill come in for a complete rear brake job for one of our vans. That was about $700 and some additional
That's
small
about
things
four,
coming
so.
in too. And then we have the numbers for the month. I'm keeping a brand new list, so next month there'll be a comparative list started, similar to the old one you had.
And a lot of, I know, I was asking at Knitting today about the data, because that all gets recorded in the Loving Stitches group. So, and the gal that has it will be bringing it, and we'll get it in at the end of April. She's, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and she has it for the previous month since Jean has been out. Jean is the person that kind of oversees that group and used to get all that information turned in.
Yeah.
So it's out there, but you don't have it yet.
Yeah.
So-
all of these numbers, all of the data that we collect
Yeah.
is dependent on people passing it into
You're
us.
right.
So I wouldn't take these numbers as hard and fast numbers. They could be higher next month.
And numbers
depending on
are
what comes
important.
in.
We know that.
Yeah.
That's why we keep track.
The event attendance does not include meal price, and it does not include special luncheon.
Right.
Okay. So this is just the everyday,
Just-
coming to classes.
Come into classes, people sitting in the chairs, going to the presentations. Yeah.
What is the 8 suspended on Meals and Wheels?
Oh, that just means there's 8 people who usually receive a Meals on Wheels daily meal who are either in hospital, in rehab, or away on vacation who've suspended their service. So it's
Oh,
typically
okay.
8 higher.
Okay, but it's not that they've been put out and they can't come back? It's just that they're away,
Just on temporary hold.
temporary hold, I like that better.
Yeah.
Any questions, additional questions for Liz? Yes, Mary?
Are you through?
Yep.
You did a very nice cover sheet on the last month, on this broadcaster.
Oh, thank you.
That's very, very nice.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, may I have a motion to accept the reports?
I motion to accept the reports of the director.
Thank you, Mary. And
Second.
Maureen seconding. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
I move that we adjourn.
So wait, hold on,
One little thing,
One
I
thing.
didn't have, I just wanted to say, I had told you last time that I had gone to the dementia-friendly MCOA class, and the next one's coming up on May 16th in Westboro. And it's from 9:30 to 11. It's in a beautiful facility, and it really was very interesting and very informative to me, and I went because of our program at church, and it just was very interesting.
How
So
do you get the information?
go on MCOA. I just pulled it up here. You can look at my phone, dementia friendly, or this is on the MCOA website.
Okay, so just go on www.mcoa.com.
Pardon? It's May 16th. No, that's the silk scarf. It's May 25th.
Oh, that's,
When is Patriots Day? 21st?
Next
Monday.
Monday.
Okay, the office will be closed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
okay. Thank you, Ely. All right, now we have a
For the
motion,
grace of God.
motion to adjourn on the floor from Maureen. Was it seconded?
Say that again?
Did you ever read?
Mary
Mary,
seconded
did you
it.
second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of adjoining the meeting?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you all.
Aye.
I think it's unanimous. Look what I found.
Yeah.